There goes Rumble. Let's see. Gotta figure out a way to fix the kick title real quick, and then we'll jump right into it. Let's see. Change this to... Whoa. Let's see. Can I fix the stream title of this thing? Maybe. Huh. Maybe that'll work. Nope. Well, I guess. Oh, now this has gone dark. Let's see. Can I fix this real quick, please? Just focus on me. Okay, well, if it's gonna do that, we'll have to do this. Okay, that's a little better. Why can I not fix edit? Oh, here we go. Issues. I'll change this to just chatting. Hopefully. Oh, there we go. Save. Okay, so kick seems to be fixed now. And now I'm extremely bright. Let's see, can we fix that? Maybe. It might be fixed. Well, good news. We're back on daylight savings time, meaning I can use my normal setup with all my fun trinkets in the background and such. You know, if you haven't changed your clocks over, you've probably missed work today and missed church, so let's make sure we're all doing that. But there's our good news. Got that out of the way quick. Let's see, I think that's alright. Yeah, to get the good news out of the way so we can get into all the not good news quickly. No, I'm kidding. Not really, though. There's not much good news to talk about once again today. Okay. That's interesting. Well, today is Monday, March 9th, 2026. This is episode number 70 of Addressing the Issues. Before we start, I decided I'd take one more day to get this whole history type deal. The history between the U.S. and Iran, the U.S. and Israel, Iran and Israel, the Temple Mount, the whole 9 yards. I decided I'd take an extra day to make sure I have all that stuff correct. Go a little bit more in depth, hopefully. So that'll be tomorrow. There was a lot that's happened over the weekend, so I figured we should probably just focus on the last 72 hours. And then we'll go into that tomorrow, hopefully. The war's ended by then. There are whispers that it could be. I have my own serious doubts about those whispers, but hopefully they're true. Hopefully this does get wrapped up soon and it's over and we're out and we never go back. That's what I hope. Hope we never go back there. But we'll start, I guess, once again with the main story of the last, week and a half, which is the Iran war. It was confirmed that a 7th U.S. service member has died in the conflict. They were injured in the initial strikes and have since passed away. Sucks. I think I said at the beginning the acceptable death toll was 0. We're at 7 now, and that's what's been reported to the public. I posit that the actual total is higher. I do. Just given what we've seen through videos, strikes on U.S. bases, mostly communication infrastructure, but there have been buildings hit that look like they could have service members in them, barracks type buildings. So I posit that the number could be higher. Honestly, I don't believe it's what Iran has reported, which is like 200, something of the nature. But I do posit that not all these buildings were empty. Not all these radar sites were unmanned. All these THAAD missile systems were just parked and left to be struck. There were probably people at them. I'd posit that they've kept this number, the 7, just to keep morale up, not reveal weakness, which has been the whole goal of both sides of this war. Don't reveal weakness. Especially Israel, not allowing social media posts, journalism of what is happening in the country, particularly Haifa, Tel Aviv, bases there. But I think a lot isn't being revealed to us just to keep up public support for the war, troop morale. As if you don't know any of the wiser, it makes it a lot easier to continue to swallow these pills, particularly financially. Although that has rebounded a little bit today. We'll get into that. I guess in another big story regarding this, Iran reportedly sent a message to activate sleeper cells outside of the country that was intercepted today. It states U.S. officials have intercepted an encrypted communication believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside the country based on preliminary signal analysis. I think this has two, ways that this information can be digested. One of which is that there will be sleeper cell related terror attacks. Something likely nobody wants. Ooh, we're losing frames bad right now. they've got us. Wow. 5 frames right now. My Wi-Fi is being throttled as I talk about this. Beautiful. Let's see if it picks back up. I'll give this a second. That's crazy. As soon as you talk about this, I've noticed a lot of people's frames go to dang near nothing, just like mine. It's rebounding now. Okay. Okay, we're back up to 60. So as I was saying, there's 2 ways to think about this whole sleeper asset awakening. That one, there will be sleeper cell related terror attacks in the U.S. We've seen 2 already this weekend, or I guess 3, depending on how you want to count. 3 terror attacks. But 2, this gives everyone the ability to stage false flag terror attacks. Meaning, now that the public is aware of this, it makes it a lot more feasible to people who aren't looking at, 2nd, 3rd level consequences of this just message alone. And they say, something bad happens once again in New York City, something bad happens in Atlanta, LA, whatever, you name it, wherever. And then, all they have to yell is Allahu Akbar, and now it's blamed as Iran terror, Iran sleeper cell terror. And it's a lot easier to brush that off, even if it was a false flag. So I'd be really cognizant looking out. I mean, this opens the door for so many nefarious things. False flag terror, or even just real terror. Assuming that this signal captured is real. Because there's always the chance that this is just propaganda in the media. We still haven't outlawed propaganda, believe it or not. Not sure why. If anybody has a good explanation of why propaganda on U.S. citizens by the U.S. government is still legal, I'd love to know. I'd love for you to inform me why that's a good idea. Our internet is doing terrible right now. We'll give it another second. 12 frames. We went down to 5 earlier. Okay, it seems to be rebounding. Possibly. 18. 34. Alright, we're probably back. But I guess, given this information, we have no ability to prove that this is a real signal. It could just be made up to stir the pot a little bit. And, we'll have a go tear up Texas style thing where the 3-letter agencies are aware, if not helping. Or we could just, blatantly have terror cells acting on Iran's interest all throughout the country. There's plenty here. There are plenty radical Islamists here. Through previous wars in Iraq, previous wars in Afghanistan, we've filled our country with refugees. I won't get more into the refugee thing because I think that's what comes next, is we're going to be a country filled with refugees from this crisis. and it will be of no benefit to any normal American. But we'll move on to the terror this weekend. There were 2 bombers in New York City. When one of them was asked if he sought to have an incident comparatively to the Boston Marathon bombing, he responded, "No, even bigger. It was only 3 deaths," which is alarming on many different levels. You don't want the Boston Marathon bombing, and you surely don't want anything bigger. I mean, that's, I guess, terrifying. The goal of terror, to terrify a population. There was also a bomb threat on an airline this weekend, which had to be diverted, make an not an emergency landing, but a landing before their final destination due to this bomb threat on an airline in the U.S. So I guess you could qualify these as two incidents with 3 people involved. Given the signal that was intercepted, I think we'll see many more of these, whether they be true, meaning actual Islamic terror cells, or false flags. I guess that's to be determined. But I don't suspect that this will wrap up anytime soon. Truly, especially given the nature of this war. People have called it a holy war. Many people. But if it is about the survival of religion, people are going to get desperate. Very, very desperate. And that's just what religious wars are. They want their religion to win. And anybody caught in the crossfire, caught in the middle, is, they're just that. I mean, they're an acceptable casualty, especially given the nature of religious wars like this seems to be. You may say, oh, well, there's Arab states fighting Persian states. The sects of Islam have been at war for longer than you'd ever believe. Shia versus Shiite. We're just using one on another right now for our interests. But the bigger one is Israel versus Iran. Judaism versus Islam. That is the larger scale war. The larger scale holy war, as I would call it. I would call it a holy war. People have said it high up in the U.S. that this is a holy war. So I'd just take them at their word for it, especially on things like that. They're really bad at picking when to be overt or not, and things such as these. It'd be a lot easier to say, we're doing this for nuclear weapons. It's not a holy war. No, when you say it's a holy war, I'm going to accept that, because it's not about nuclear weapons. We've seen this. It's not about, it's about regime change. The nature of this regime is religious. Continues to be so to this day. We'll talk a little bit about targets in this war, which are objectionable to say the least. Desalination plants have been targeted from both sides. If you're not familiar, these countries in the Middle East use about 70% of their water from desalination plants. That is their drinkable water supply. 70% at least, and going upward in some up to 100%, I believe, in countries like Qatar. So attacking these desalination plants creates water shortages. You can only survive, I believe it's 3 days, 2 to 3 days without water, probably just two in a sweltering desert. So once these countries run out of water, I mean, there's no way to create a shipment of enough water to support countries of millions of people, especially when you can't do it by boat. You can't sail it through the Strait of Hormuz. It'll get blown up by Iran. So how do you get water in? Do you get it from truck from 3 countries away? Can you create a supply line of just water? Something you need multiple gallons of a day per human. Can you make a supply line like this? I would argue no, especially given you can't ship it over in a large container ship. You'd have to drive it in on water trucks, which will then be targets. This isn't just about oil. This is now turned into water. This is going to create a water famine. I mean, as soon as these plants are getting, well, they are currently getting blown up, you lose enough of them, you're below critical water supply, and people start dying due to thirst, dehydration. So then what do? I mean, what happens? Well, you have a refugee crisis in the U.S., like it always does, in Europe as well. I'm more concerned about the U.S. The U.S. will take these people in. We're going to take in refugees over a water famine. It's going to start, Q80, maybe Bahraini. Then we'll get to Saudi, Qatari. We'll get Emirati. And the next thing you know, we're going to be taking in Iranian refugees over water crisis. Kurdish refugees, possibly Iraqi refugees. And I mean, the next thing you know, we're going to be doing it. It's been said that we won't. The president said that we wouldn't be taking in refugees. But it looks like we're already on the verge of the first already. President Trump posted, I believe this weekend, Australia is making a terrible humanitarian mistake by allowing the Iran national women's soccer team to be forced back to Iran, where they will most likely be killed. Don't do it, Mr. Prime Minister. Give asylum. The U.S. will take them if you won't. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So we went from 0 to the women's soccer team already. There's going to be people dying of dehydration in the Middle East. We'll take them in too. And we went from taking absolutely no refugees to all of them. I mean, we were told this weekend, less than 72 hours ago, the U.S. will not take a single Iranian refugee. And now we're already at the total of an entire women's soccer team within 72 hours. That's changed in 72 hours. Countries start running out of water. Do you think that we're just going to leave them there? No. Per usual in these conflicts, we'll take them. We're going to bring them in. Whether people that have not determined that they're going to take to the American lifestyle, we're going to have these communities like Dearborn. We're going to have communities like Epic City, these enclaves of refugees. They don't know English. They're not going to take to American culture. And they'll be living here with no means of returning, no plans to do so. And then the next time we go to war in the region and Iran says, hey, here's your sleeper cell call. Because like the Afghanistan withdrawal, there were sleeper agents mushed into the crowd. And then they all get here. And you have the D.C. National Guard shooting. that was an Afghan refugee. How many more of these do we want? How long can we allow this cycle to continue? I would argue never. Never. We should have never taken a single one out of Afghanistan. We shouldn't take a single one out of the Middle East. We shouldn't. I mean, but we will. We'll continue to do this, and we'll never learn our lesson. We'll never learn our lesson over this. I mean, it happens time and time again, and we expect the result to be different for some reason. It's like, oh, I mean, these ones should be rich, so they'll act differently. Well, they never do. I mean, I'm sorry, but they never assimilate to American culture. And then we have all these, Islamophobia stuff going on, whether it be attacks on people for saying, no, this isn't okay, or people attacking them. I mean, it's just not a situation I want in my neighborhoods. I don't want this in my cities. I don't want to bring a holy war back to America. I don't want to bring terrorism back to America like Afghanistan. That's just me, though. I mean, maybe you feel differently. But we've went from taking 0 refugees to a whole soccer team in a couple of days. You think it's like, for some reason, we're just going to decide, hey, that was it? No, once the trickle starts, the flood comes, and we're going to be flooded. We're going to be absolutely flooded with refugees before you know it. You'll wake up and your small town will be covered in mosques. And you're going to say, how'd this happen? And then 20 years you'll think back and you'll be like, oh, maybe it was because we let in all the Iranian refugees in during the Iran war. Maybe it's because we started a war in which normalized bombing civilian infrastructure such as water, and they all came over afterwards. We'll realize this, but it'll be too late. Our country will be invaded. We'll be dealing with terrorism every day, Sharia law every day. And then it'll hit us. We'll be like, oh, maybe this wasn't a good idea. It'll hit us in like 20 years. We'll have a whole bunch of religious enclaves around our country, and we'll be like, oh, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Maybe we didn't need more refugees, Maybe we didn't need to go to war with Iran in the first place. But yeah, just figured I'd let you know that we're already planning on accepting our first refugees from this battle, or war, not battle, war. And it all ties into the attacks that we've, I guess, normalized, which is bombing desalination plants, bombing water supplies. Once we did it, Iran started to do it, and now we're here to accept the consequences, which will be millions and millions of people flooding Europe, flooding the United States. Once again, we never learn our lesson. I'm sure, or I'm not even sure, it probably hasn't been shown on major media, but the status of Tehran right now is absolutely horrifying. There's rivers of fire flowing through the streets. Oil is raining from the sky right now. The sky is completely black. City of about 10 million people. Fire, like flowing in rivers through the streets. Horrifying stuff. I mean, oil normally doesn't rain. I've never seen oil rain before, but this is something that their citizens are facing. I'm sure it's going to leave a massive emotional scar, huge emotional damage seeing these things. Then when we accept them as refugees in a couple of months, well, we won't know why they're extremists. We're gonna be like, why are you so extreme? It's because I've watched my family burn in a river of fire in downtown. I mean, absolutely horrifying stuff. It's not gonna make the extremism go away. Truly, it won't. It's only gonna make it worse. And you've got Israel, which isn't being shown. I mean, they're getting pelted by Hezbollah right now. Haifa, Tel Aviv, they're getting pelted. And this doesn't even include the massive stockpiles of weapons from Iran. Ones that they haven't even fired off yet. They can produce, 500 of those drones a day. We haven't figured out where the missiles are coming from. And we know they're coming from under the ground, just under the sand. The sand opens up and a missile comes over. We haven't gotten all of those. We're talking about sending in Delta Force for capturing and destroying nuclear targets. We're talking about invading Karg, an island. I think it's 50% of Iran's oil output, if I'm not mistaken, flows through the Karg island. We're talking about invading it. It's right off the shore of Iran. Right off the shore. You think when we put boots on the ground there, it's going to be a cakewalk? I mean, this is going to make the island hopping campaign in the Pacific during World War II look like a children's birthday party. And that was brutal, bloody conflict, as we've learned from our history books, learned from accounts of survivors. But we're planning on just walking onto this island a couple of miles from Iran's shore, which supports probably half of their economy, maybe a little bit less than half of their economy. And we think we're just going to walk onto it. They're not going to use these 500 drones that they can produce a day, their missiles. You don't think they're going to use them? Just shoot them down from the cliffs above? I mean, it's going to be a bloody battle, to say the least. And I mean, it's going to be hard to win. I don't think the likelihood's high of a successful invasion of any of these islands, especially given we'll be trying to walk onto a mostly flat, maybe hilly island. Hilly would be the best case scenario. And from above, these Shahed drones are coming, missiles are coming. I just don't see how it's successful. I'm sorry. I mean, it's going to be, and even if it is successful, what are acceptable losses? It's not going to be 7 people. It's not. It's going to be probably thousands for a small island. And that's not even getting into mainland Iran, where these missiles are being held. This nuclear material is allegedly being produced. This is the tip of the spear, and it's going to be bloody. I mean, it's going to be worse than anything we've ever seen, probably in history. Just given the geographic nature of trying to invade an island just offshore, they won't need, to sail boats 2 days to get these places, like in the island hopping campaign with Japan. I mean, they'll just be shooting things straight down over a cliff onto an island that we're trying to invade. I mean, modern war has nothing on what World War II was. Truly, it doesn't. But we'll move on I don't think an invading force, special forces is a good idea at all. I think it's a death trap. I think this whole war is a death trap for the U.S. If not a death trap, a debt trap. Being that we're going to have to buy all these munitions back for defense against China and Taiwan before we know it. Do you have any pictures / videos? None that I have the rights to show, I don't believe. I can point you in the right direction, but I don't think I have the rights to show any of them, just because I haven't asked, one, and two, they're not mine. I didn't take them myself. If you look at, let's see, can I pull this into the shade? At never underscore, or here's the original poster of this. Let's see. At Vahid, at VAHID on X. He shows the Akadasiye oil depot fire in Tehran. There's also, let me see if I can find the other one. Let's see. At Iran News Agency 0 has a picture of another one of the oil fire. You can look at both of these. I don't have the rights to share them currently. I could ask, I guess, later. Do I have any showing the rivers of fire? I don't think I have any showing the rivers of fire, but I don't know. It's just not good at all. Can I fix this? Okay. This is strange. This is a strange look. Messed up my tabs, but that's fine. You can look at both of those and see this, blaze unlike anything I've ever seen before. Likely unlike anything you've ever seen before. But we will, I guess, move on from that. The status of Iran burning. There's also ones of Israel being struck. I'd have to go through the same processes for those. It's just that they're a little more sketchy to get, given the nature of disseminating this information that makes Israel look weak is highly frowned upon by them right now. I don't know if I want to put myself at that risk. Truly. There's been some interesting statements come out of President Trump over the last 72 hours. He was speaking with the Kremlin recently. He claimed to the Kremlin, President Trump, said that if we didn't do it first, they would have done it first to Israel. Which I don't know how likely, how true that is, but that is President Trump's claim. He also has said, I think the war is very complete, pretty much, which is another quote of his from recent hours, which is why maybe it's over. We also heard during the State of the Union that this would be solved through diplomacy, and with a meeting scheduled on Tuesday, we attacked their entire leadership on a Saturday morning, broad daylight. So I don't know how willing I am to accept that. I'm not at this point. I'm not willing to accept that that is a good faith, honest statement. There's also, it's been revealed that that Iran has selected its new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khomeini. This is the son of the previous Ayatollah Khomeini. It's been reported that he has been injured in previous strikes on Iran. Doesn't make him any less radical. I can promise you that. Israel has claimed over the weekend that they will try to assassinate the new leader of Iran and murder anyone involved in appointing them. This was before Mojtaba Khomeini was appointed. But I have reason to believe that he's going to be much more of a hardliner than his father, more extreme than his father. I know that's hard to believe with the Western mind, that they could have anyone more extreme than Ayatollah Khomeini. But I don't think he has anything to care about anymore. It's a scary thought. All he sees is red. He sees revenge. That's all he wants. He's watched his mother, his father, his wife, and son die in recent days. All in recent days. And we think that this is going to be somebody who wants to negotiate. I mean, somebody that is going to declare nuclear weapons haram. I don't see it. I think this is going to cause an escalation. Not at all his own entire fault, or not his fault on his own. Imagine if you watched your mom, your dad, your wife, and son get blown up. I don't think you're going to be like, yeah, I want to negotiate with whoever did that. I think he's going to be a ruthless hardliner, likely will die in the coming days. I mean, it's been claimed that they're going to try to assassinate him as well. And then after that, do you think the next dude is going to, he's going to be like, yeah, this is fine. You can kill our last two president or prime minister, supreme leader, last two supreme leaders' entire bloodline. And you're just going to get away with it. I highly doubt it. I think they're going to be, it's just going to get more and more radical. There's no way around it. And I don't know how many more times we'll go through this process of killing everybody that is in government, especially given how it's not even fruitful at this point. Iran is completely decentralized military operations. It's why when they say, oh, we're going to stop attacking Arabian countries, they don't, because some of the groups that are shooting these missiles, they don't care who it is. They're just out to get everybody. They've decentralized all military operations, so they're not waiting on a call from the lead general. The local, commander can just do as he pleases, use their weapons as they like. And it's going to make it incredibly hard to achieve a lasting ceasefire, especially if one of these decides, it wasn't good enough. The ceasefire wasn't good enough. We're going to continue. And then we're back at square one. It won't matter that 3 leaderships down the line agree to it. Some angry dude in northeast Iran is going to continue to do it just because he's mad. And I guess rightfully so. But I don't see, how we're going to get all of these people to come to the table, especially given what happens when they all come together. The U.S. or Iran strike them, or the U.S. or Israel strike them and kill them all. So these people are going to remain decentralized. I guess best case scenario, we achieve a deal with the majority of Iran and go to fight these smaller groups that won't agree to a ceasefire after we achieve the main ceasefire with Iran. It's a no-win scenario. It truly is a no-win scenario. Let's see. I guess we have some more good news. Oil prices have fallen today after reaching over $120 a barrel over the weekend. Over $120 was the price of oil per barrel over the weekend. This coincides with ships beginning to break the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, attempting to run it, along with rumors of countries dipping into strategic oil reserves. Already, Mediterranean Shipping Company, or MSC, as it's commonly known, has declared end of voyage for all shipments through the Strait of Hormuz as of today, meaning anything that was planned to go through the Strait of Hormuz is effectively done. They won't go through it. Other ships have started to turn their transponders off and floor it through there, so they're not hit. They don't put out a navigational signal, and if they are hit, I mean, it'd be really hard to determine where they were at if their GPS is off. But ships have begun to start attempting to run the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. So that has contributed to the lower price. It's high risk, but I guess high reward given the price of oil is going down. But also, I think related to this is that tomorrow G7 energy ministers will meet to discuss the release of strategic oil reserves. I think that is probably the main driving force. The G7 countries will be dipping into their strategic oil reserves to try and stabilize prices, at least for the short term. But I guess that's why you have strategic oil reserves, is for times like these. So I guess if you got them, use them. Just know that after you do this, we will have to buy up oil once again to refill these strategic oil reserves. So when we decide to do this once again in a couple of years, probably, it seems like a recurring pattern, we'll have oil when the strait is blocked once again, or even the Persian Gulf, is it Red Sea? No. I'm gonna have to pull up my map again. I'm blanking. I'm absolutely blanking right now. Whenever there's a closure in one of those due to terror, or even war, what is it? I guess the Suez Canal. Yeah, Red Sea, I was right. If the Houthis and the Somalis decide to stop in traffic in the Gulf of Aden, if once again, like I said, the Strait of Hormuz is blocked, we'll need these strategic oil reserves. So I guess use them since you've got them, but just know that we will have to pay to refill these at some point. Probably, likely very soon. Oil prices have fallen after reaching $120 a barrel over the weekend. Let's see what they're at right now. If I can find the right one. Here it is. They're at, this says $85. They're still up 41.7% this month, but they're down 6.5%, roughly 6.5% today. People have been reporting that this news has caused the S&P to explode upwards. It went up 0.8% after the news, nowhere near how much it's gone down over the last week and a half. Nowhere the Dow is nowhere near where it was when Pam Bondi said we're at 50,000 points. But yeah, it seems that we're having slight recovery, but I think that's just speculation due to, one, ships running the naval closure at the Strait of Hormuz, and two, speculation that countries will be dipping into their strategic oil reserves, which long term I don't think is a great strategy. We're still going to have to buy oil from there. But it is what it is. It's a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Speaking of, you heard, I've heard it on like every news station so far. It's like, this is short-term pain for long-term gain, referring to the Iran war. I don't know that it's going to be just short-term pain. I truly don't know that that's the case, but maybe it's just short-term. I hope so. I don't know the validity of that, though. Let's see. We've got two more, I guess, smaller stories. One of which is that the U.S. believes China is responsible for breach of the FBI surveillance network, meaning that the network used to spy on you has been hacked and it's being used by China to spy on you. Should make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially given, this is one of the top agencies in the land, the top for national security, and it's been hacked by China, allegedly. It could be China. There's also plenty of other countries it could be. And just leave hints that it could be Chinese, the perpetrators. Just leave some Chinese lettering here or there, Chinese tactics here or there, and it's a completely different country. Yet we believe that it's China. We're told it's China, and it could be Iran, it could be Russia. I mean, it could even be Israel. Wouldn't it be the first time we've seen something like this from an ally? It could be, any country, and they just leave Chinese tactics, traces, lettering, you name it. But the FBI was hacked. Surveillance network was hacked. Should be alarming, whatever country that did that, because it should be secure. We are the greatest country in the world, yet we can't secure our own surveillance network used to spy on our own citizens, so now China gets to spy on our own citizens as well. It's not a good look. But maybe we can have like another hockey locker room party or something and we'll forget about it. Maybe we should have been spending our time here in America making sure our surveillance network wasn't hackable. Or not going to concerts at semi-pro wrestling matches, making sure our surveillance network was unhackable. I don't know, maybe that's expecting too much. And we'll move on to our last story of the day. DHS funding has resulted in TSA staff shortages, causing lines into parking garages at major U.S. airports. This is because Democrats will not sign on to a DHS funding bill, meaning agents aren't getting paid, people are getting laid off, people are even quitting because they're not getting paid. Imagine working every day, not getting paid, no plans to pay you in the near future, so you're just working for free, expecting a back check in a couple of weeks. Would you continue to work like that? Probably not. You'd probably look for a different job, especially if you had, kids to feed, kids to support, family to support, rent to be paid. You'd probably look for somewhere that could offer you that as opposed to TSA, which nobody really likes. Let's be honest. Nobody likes the surprise sexual interactions and airport lines. I don't think anybody enjoys it. I surely don't. I think it's a little iffy for me, a little touchy. I didn't expect to go to the airport and have a surprise sexual encounter, but yet here we are. That is what TSA is, and I'm sure they don't like doing it either. Imagine how many butt cracks they've had to run their hands through. I wouldn't want to do that job. Imagine how those gloves smell at the end of the day. Nasty. I don't think they like doing their job, and I bet they especially don't like doing it when they're not paid. But this has caused lines into, parking garages at airports. Imagine you walk into the terminal and you go, oh, there's the line, and you look out and it goes across a crosswalk, probably 3-4 lanes of cars, into a parking garage. And now you're sitting in a 80-degree parking garage waiting to go through security. This is going to cause problems, namely elderly, young children waiting in line. This isn't good. We're going to flip over. Hold on, I've got an idea. We'll go shortly to the outro screen, and then if I can get this, let's get the lighting done on that. Let's see. We'll just have to roll with this for the time being. We're almost done for today. So we'll roll with this, and I guess we'll go back to this view. I thought the time change would save us. It didn't. Unlucky. Imagine elderly people, very young children in a parking garage going into the summer, dehydrating in line. That'll cause people passing out, even medical emergencies beyond that. We're heading into the summer. We are. Imagine being at a airport. You can't have water in the TSA line because you have to throw that away. So you've thrown away your water. You're sitting in a 90, 100-degree parking garage waiting for security to check you. You fall out. Your parent falls out. Your young child becomes unresponsive. It's going to cause more problems. Given the threat of terror recently, the people in the line haven't been screened yet. They're waiting in a parking garage across the street from the airport for this. Somebody runs up with a explosive vest, drives up with a car bomb, just pulls it right up next to them. And now we have a mass casualty event because of long TSA lines. This is a really bad situation. It really is, and it needs to be fixed. Democrats just need to give DHS funding. They need to fund mass deportations. That is a need. Whether we'll get that or not, it's a whole different question, an entirely different question. It needs to be done. We need mass deportations. We need reasonable security, especially given the vulnerability of people in these lines, whether it be from exposure or threats of terrorism that have only grown. But I can truly see this call to activate sleeper cells, the sleeper cell activation, as they will capitalize on things like this. And this is on the outside of security, meaning they could just walk up. They haven't been checked for anything yet. They could drive up, even drive into a parking garage with people lined up, hundreds and hundreds of people lined up in a parking garage. Just drive in there, have a terrible mass casualty event. And it happens because people are upset about sending mass migrants back home, mass illegal migrants back home. I mean, we're setting ourselves up for disaster. I guess I'm the only person that's thought this through. Probably, I guess. Nobody in the government seems to have. Because we'd at least have we'd have at least guardrails for this. Probably funding for TSA, Department of Homeland Security. But it looks like nobody's thought this through except for me. And once it happens, it's not going to be a happy I've told you so. It's going to be terrible, and it's preventable. If it happens, it's preventable. Whether it be just one person falling out due to exposure or a planned terrorist attack in one of our nation's airports because we won't provide the funding necessary for travel security agents, that we won't provide the funding necessary to deport these illegal immigrants. Imagine it's a Afghan national that does it. Imagine the outcry. And you'll just be called Islamophobic. That's all you'll get. You'll say, why'd we let this happen? You're Islamophobic. No, you let this happen. You've allowed them into our country. You won't provide funding to remove them. And now we have people just gathered in a very vulnerable position. It's a bad scenario we've got. A really bad scenario. One that's easily fixable. Super easily fixable. Just give them money. Allow them to do their job. Allow them to be paid and support their families. And we don't have to worry about this. We wouldn't have to worry about this. That's all we've got for today. I guess no good news except for the sun's going to be up an extra hour today, and I still can't even use the right camera angle that I like, but that's fine. We'll make it work. We'll go back to the regular one. I thought that hour change would make a difference. It didn't. But that is our good news for today. In a world of bad news, the time change is finally here. We get to have sunlight for reasonable hours of the day. So there's good news. Make sure you've changed your clocks though, guys. You probably already missed church yesterday and work today. So, yeah, make sure we're getting on top of that. Is there anything else I want to go over? I guess I can check real quick. See if there's anything else that's happened. Let's see. Yikes. Ooh, that's just not fun to look at. Switzerland breaks neutrality to condemn U.S.-Israel strikes on Iran. Great. Were they ever neutral, though? Were they ever? And they're just called neutral. They also act in their own favor every single time and just get called neutral. I don't know. I don't believe it. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem like I missed anything during the show today. I think we all know that they like to push these things out right when I'm live, so it'll probably pop up here in about 30 minutes, and I'll be talking about it tomorrow. But yeah, make sure you guys are dropping a like, following on Kick, following on Rumble, subscribing on YouTube. It's going to be a short week this week. I'll be here just tomorrow, and then I am off to work for the weekend, so that'll be a little bit different. I don't know when I'll get back. I do plan on spending a little bit of time with family. I may bring my stuff with me. That doesn't mean that I'll even go live. But I'll probably bring what I need to go live with me, just in case. But don't expect me to go live probably for another week or so after tomorrow. Just because I'll be got a long drive to work for this weekend, and then I'll be working through Saturday or Sunday, depending on weather. And then after that, I'll get to see my family, so that'll be good for me. I guess no better time to see your family than right before the end of everything. I say that sarcastically, mostly. I hope the world doesn't end over this, but everybody's getting their nuclear saber rattling shoes on, and just one goes off and everybody else will join in. That's how every war game plays out. Everybody wants to take advantage of somebody else using a nuclear weapon first, and there's been lots of talks about it, not just in the Middle East, but in Europe. So I guess that's the plan for the next week or so, is I'll be live tomorrow. I'll hopefully get that whole history thing sorted out before then. Hopefully I don't even have to do it. We figure this all out before tomorrow evening. If not, I'll just go with what I do have. And then guess I'll have to issue corrections on that a week or so later. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. That's the plan for the next couple of days. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you'll drop a like. As always, I appreciate you guys sticking around till the end. Another long episode. They don't seem to be getting any shorter. I guess because things don't seem to be slowing down. They really don't. These next couple days, weeks, months will have a huge impact on history. Life as we know it, even. But yeah, that's all we've got for today. I'm not seeing anything super pertinent that's released while I've been live, so we'll call it here. I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 4:45 Eastern Daylight Time. I like that. I really do. And we'll be going over whatever's happened over the next 24 hours. So I'll see you guys then. And I guess as always, I hope my people on the East Coast get home safe. To my people further west, I hope you finish up your workday strong and get home safe as well. I guess for the last time in a while, I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you guys for watching.